This video shows the progress for the scatter chart. It'll be a long video because I wanted to describe the modifications made and why we have some of the errors we see when we compare the outcome of operations in DIMS and Power BI. As mentioned in the previous post, DIMS was not having code for user selecting value option for the columns added to values option, which is, by the way, the y-axis. By default, numeric columns checked on left side were added there and aggregated automatically to display count. On top of that, even if the chart name is scatter, char my application doesn't automatically add second numeric column to x-axis. It adds it again to values, y-axis. In order to keep the modifications to a minimum, I haven't added multiple options for columns and axis, x-axis in Power BI. You will see that in Power BI, you can choose to not group by that column and to just display the column values. After computing data and charting it, I realized that will be harder for viewers to compare the charts since Power BI display axis differently for this type of chart. To be easier to understand, I changed the columns locations in Power BI in order for the outcome to match the outcome of my application in order for the data points to fall in the same place on screen. Once that was done, we could see the same data points in the same positions. Another difference is that Power BI changed how data is presented when Show as Table is selected. I might be able to present it that way too, but I kept the default way of showing the data in order to not complicate things for the time being. The solution, although simple, comes with a cost because I will have to compute the data table containing the info in the same way Power BI does. For example, Power BI, when legends are used, change the way data is displayed. While I kept it the same way, I show it for all the other chart types when legend or pivoting is involved. I don't know if video presented here already reached the part where some of the data points I am charting are out of chart scope, but it seems the issue was because somehow the data table generated was not sorted after the first column, which affected the computation of maximum horizontal position. I try to reproduce the issue by selecting and removing columns, charting types, but I was not able to reproduce the issue, and by issue, I mean charting the data for a data table, which had first column numeric and not sorted in ascending order. If you watch long enough, you will see that at some point after I order the data table first column in the data grid, the chart data points fall inside the chart area. To make a short pause, I am curious how ChatGPT or tools generating code will be ever able to introduce new code in all the places and keep the application functionality. I'm taking my example, and I know where I need to introduce things, and by building it and running it, see what is not working and fix it appropriately. I'm curious how a tool can do this by itself in the future with no human involvement. Power BI for this chart type has a size dimension which give more meaning to the data, which visually translates to ellipses for each data point to have different radius. I will try to implement this in the application by creating a new group box as we have for values, axis, and legends. As it could be seen up to this point and later on, the transitions from different chart types during chart type selections or removal of the columns needs still attention. One of the issues introduced by this new chart on top of my head is that once we choose values for the column and values and switch the chart type to line chart or other type, some misleading information might appear. The point is that although introducing this new chart is possible, its introduction in the overall application flow needs to be properly tested and coded accordingly. If you pay attention in Power BI, whenever we are in some chart type and removing adding columns, if something is not working, Power BI shows a message while in my application. I haven't introduced that logic yet. There might be other things to mention, but for the time being, I covered the most important ones.